Everybody, welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're up to episode 631. This is being recorded on June 2, 2021. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Spoonberg.
That was dramatic. You can find out when we go live for things like this, pcper.com/subscribe. Join our mailing list. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/PCPer. Become a PCPer patron of the arts. I always ask Brett at this point, do you have any updates on the Patreon?
You know, indeed I do. And I just want to say thanks very much to all the Patreon members out there, because without you guys, this kind of doesn't happen. So really appreciate it. And if anybody goes in and changes their name or changes their pledge during the show, we put the hard brakes on the show when that happens, because I'll get an email about that, and we'll read pretty much whatever you're going to write in your name. We've discovered that we'll read a lot of things that probably we shouldn't read. So, you don't need to test that theory, but, you can try. We do have 2 new patrons, and I'd like to say a great thanks to Lawrence Adams. Way to go. I think that Lawrence has discerning tastes deciding to back this environment. Very good. Golf clap for you, sir. Thank you. And for tonight's finale, this person's decided that their name is most appropriately called Josh's Warm, Moist Buns.
If they do look a little shiny when I take a picture of them on Wednesday.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if it's just the Galaxy S9 adding some extra things.
Yeah. It might be a beauty filter.
I'll flatten it out.
Do you use a beauty filter on your buns, Josh?
I will vouch that Josh does not know how to use filters.
He looks pretty good right now. I mean, whatever filter he's using. Speaking of Josh.
Moving on from Josh's warm, moist buns.
Photos taken with his Galaxy S9. Is it an S9?
Still a reasonable camera on
Very
that
good
thing
camera.
as compared to even new stuff.
I miss mine.
Okay, speaking of all that, Josh, please take it away. Laramie, Wyoming. Burger of the week. Go.
Well, pains me to say it, but at the same time, I'm a little elated. There was no burger of the week. Instead, the burger special was the same one as last week, and I just didn't want more pineapple, as it's kind of wasted on me anyway. But that's another discussion.
I wasn't going to mention it.
But instead, I got 12 smoked chicken wings with the angry buffalo sauce. Now you think that those are just charred. Well, they're not really charred.
Yes.
It's just the angry buffalo sauce that they kind of fried on already. These nicely smoked chicken wings. If you've never had smoked chicken wings, you're missing something, because you think, that's charcoal and burned on the outside, but you take a bite
that's
in,
a smoke ring.
Everything is perfectly done on the inside, and you get that sweet, smoky flavor combined with nice and spicy, angry buffalo sauce. And I don't use ranch or blue cheese, and I imagine people in Buffalo are pissed about that, not having blue cheese, but you know what? I like my smoked, angry buffalo wings just as they are. I find that blue cheese and ranch just cut the heat too much, and you miss a lot of the subtleties of the flavor of the smoking. And then, of course, you notice I had to get a salad this time. I just couldn't do fries with that many wings. And if you're a Midwesterner, you will realize that that's Dorothy Lynch salad dressing. And if you've never had Dorothy Lynch, well, you're missing something quite good.
Oh.
And that's my chicken wings of the week.
I have never had Dorothy. Were those croutons?
Yeah.
I've never. I don't even know what Dorothy Lynch salad dressing is, and I'm from the.
You're kidding.
It sounds
I
exotic.
guess maybe it's a
Not a clue.
Nebraska,
Maybe it's a
Iowa.
plain state thing.
It could be.
Josh, I just want to let you know that almost every sentence I was mentally finishing or tacking on to the end of what you were saying is between my moist, warm buns.
No, there were no moist warm buns this week.
In fact,
Just
there were no buns at all.
chafed,
Not yet.
rough, dry. Yeah.
Still, I was having a mental funny about the whole thing, so
Well,
thanks for that.
I'm glad. Yeah.
Are we all in the right frame of mind to talk about? Okay, there's a bunch of stuff going on.
No, I'm just thinking about the chicken
maybe-
wings.
Maybe just one more.
Okay, just another moment. Because you know, virtual
right.
COMPUTEX, COMPUTEXVirtual has been going on. AMD had the keynote. NVIDIA has gone out there and announced stuff. Intel had something. But let's focus on AMD and NVIDIA tonight. And
NVIDIA.
I will lead off because we have a launch day review to share. But first, let's just look at what preceded it. We had a news story. This was late in the night on, I think technically it was still May 31st into June 1st. NVIDIA announces the GeForce RTX 30 series Ti cards, the 3080 Ti and the 3070 Ti. Long rumored, we'd seen leaked cards, boxes, any number of things.
Leaked and leaked and leaked again.
So it was official. And if you look at what they announced a 3080 Ti that is just a bit behind a 3090 in the specs department until you get to the memory, which is cut in half. And we talked about this before. We've talked about 3080 Ti rumors for a while. Pricing is what we hadn't heard officially. And they're
$1 million?
who knows? I mean, the launch price is $11.99, but we know that doesn't mean anything. And then the 3070 Ti will launch at $599. A noticeable thing here is those TDPs. Because how do you take the same architecture and make it faster? Well, generally speaking, you throw a bunch of cores at it or increase the clock speeds. In this case, TGP goes from 220 with 3070 to 290 with the 3070 Ti. And then it goes from 320 with the 3080 to 350 with the 3080 Ti. And that's the same TGP as a 3090. So it's the same GPU.
Interesting.
This is all GA 102 stuff. So that was June 1st that we had this news.
So long ago.
And I had one of these cards for a few days before this. So we had the ability to do a little bit of testing and stuff in advance. I did some additional tests this morning because I screwed up and did the wrong resolution on something. And here it is, the 3080 Ti Founders Edition review. These are the reviews that are going up today. 3080 Ti. 3070 Ti launches officially next week. So expect, I'm sure, reviews from everybody then. So I had the simple question going into this review. Is a 3080 Ti simply a 3090 minus 12 gigabytes? Because the specs are really close. Really close. If you actually look at them compared to each other now, 3090 here on the left, 3080 Ti just to the right of it. The difference is 2 SMs, which lowers the CUDA core count from 10,496 to 10,240. And then your texture unit and tensor core count goes down by 8. Ray tracing cores, of course, there's 1 per SM, so it goes from 82 to 80. Clock speeds are a little down as well. And then, of course, you have half the memory. The memory's also clocked a little slower. It's the same effective 19 gigabit per second rate of the 3080. Not the 19.5 of the 3080 or 3090, sorry. And then the 3080 Ti also share. It's very confusing because some of the specs are similar to the 3080, some of them are a lot more similar to the 3090. The memory interface is 384-bit GDDR6X, which matches the 3090. So even with the slightly lower rate, effective rate, you're only losing a little bit of memory bandwidth. It goes from 936 to 912 gigabytes per second. So the same TGP of 350 watts, and then theoretically $300 cheaper.
Yeah, but let's look at the price differential between the 3080 and the 3080 Ti and just wonder, does that match up to the performance difference?
for 2 gigs of memory.
Let that sink in. Let that sink in.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the skewed sense of reality.
Skews?
This is closer to the 3090, so it should be priced closer to that. But let's ignore that it's less than 10% faster most on everything than a 3080, which officially is MSRP $699.
I bet they regret
Because
that.
2 gigs of memory and the extra components needed to get that 384-bit memory bus to run. I mean, obviously, it's hundreds of dollars per card, and by that I'm being sarcastic because the cooler in the PCB, I think, is it similar to the 3080 Founders Edition? It doesn't seem like it's as big as the 3090.
If you find one of the posts I did about the same time you put up yours, there's a picture of a 3080 and a 3080 Ti right next to, or 3090 and a 3080 Ti right next to each other.
And are they identical? Or is the 3080 Ti smaller? You're killing me. The suspense is killing me.
I'm waiting. Okay, there is absolutely no difference physically between the 3080 and the 3080 Ti. Except for two things.
Crap.
And I go into excruciating detail in the review. Listen, Josh.
It's 350-watt TGP.
There were some major changes. Forget about the changes made under the hood. Let's talk. I said, talk about deja vu. This card is exactly the same. But no, it's not. I get into crucial design differences. Crucial design difference number one. The 8 in 3080 has been adjusted. It is no longer upside down. If you're aware of this, every 3080 Founders Edition card, the larger circle of the 8 was actually on the top. That has been fixed.
That's wrong. That was wrong.
Boy, thank God.
Difference number two. Look at this I/O backplate. Do you notice anything?
Okay.
It's chrome.
It's
Previously, it was a
black.
powder coat black matte finish. So, and I go on. Additionally, there's another paragraph here. The audacity of this move, the shiny chrome backplate, is difficult to put into words. I'm sure this backplate finish modification will divide a lot of people, but I can see both sides of this crucial issue, such as the potential for scratching the black finish on the original. Disaster averted. And don't worry, the 12-pin power connector is back. Whew. I will.
Oh, thank God.
Just look here. I'll show you.
I am glad that you covered the important parts of this.
I go into excruciating detail. This is the 3080 Ti. This is the 3080 Ti. I'll prove it. You can read it.
It's upside down.
Yeah, sorry. I always forget that it's printed the other way.
I couldn't tell that was an 8. Okay, I get it now.
It's the same size. I feel like the color might be just a little bit closer to the reference 3090 because the 3090s had a little bit more of a brownish, goldish hue than just a straight. Yeah, than just a straight,
like an antiqued bronze, perhaps.
Yeah, I should have gone into that in the review too. I could always add another paragraph about the design.
You should.
It's exactly the same as the 3080 physically, which is interesting because the 3090 needed such a bigger cooler, but apparently this doesn't.
Yes. I know.
Like, you have half as much memory to cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, because that extra 12 gigs is just going to be killer, isn't it?
Yeah, and
that
and 2 SMs
gets hot.
All right, so
USMs
I've got things to say, but I'll save the angry rant till after you finish.
Okay, we can look. I only did a few benchmarks. There's like 6 benchmarks in this review. There's not a whole lot to say other than there's a difference, like you said. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10% faster than a 3080, and it's still about 5% slower than a 3090 across the board.
But it's about 70% more expensive.
Okay, but if
there's
there's the problem.
In theory, if you could actually buy one in a perfect world.
I was honestly a little surprised when I was reading the because I know that YouTube algorithms, they favor negative headlines, so everybody does like a negative review now. But the fact that people are are looking only at the 3080, I guess it makes sense because this is a 3080 Ti. This is really a 3090 Lite. It's a very slightly slower 3090 with half the memory. So you'd think, well, whatever price that, 12 gigabytes of memory is, that's what you cut down. I'm probably not making any sense or any friends here, but it's 22% cheaper than a 3090, and it's 5% slower. So when I look at it at the high end, it seems like a great deal. If you look at it at the low end, but it's so much more expensive than a 3080, which it is. So what do you want? Do you want this to be 22% cheaper than the 3090 for essentially the same gaming performance? Or do you want it to be this incredible gaming card for, $100 more than a 3080 and be the savior of mankind because it's got a hash rate limiter and is widely available? So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'd like it to be available, first off, which isn't going to happen. But what is the point of the 3090 at this point?
Well, this is the weird thing.
If you had stuck something in the middle.
I don't think they're going to keep making the 3090. Because in the announcement for the 3080 Ti, it was proclaimed the 3080 Ti is our new gaming. It is our gaming flagship card.
Oh, and
they
they introduced the 3090 as their gaming flagship card, so you can't define that twice, right?
So it's weird.
Here's the thing about the 3090.
Okay.
At the price point and the memory, it is getting bought up by machine learning people left and right. And so you can actually say that
gigs
It
of
should have
memory
been a Titan all along. It's a Titan.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, just call the damn thing the Titan, because that really is what it was. It wasn't really made to be a gaming card. I mean, the performance over a 3080 did not really justify its price. But if you're going to be running that thing 24/7, doing machine learning, deep learning, whatever, that extra memory space was key. And when you use NVLink, you could have 48 gigs of memory that's available for your application. And let me tell you, it needed it. The stuff that we do, having two of those has it skyrocketed our workloads over a 2080 Ti that we had previously, and NVLink together. I mean, there is. I can see the pricing and the use case for it. I wish they had probably just called it, the Titan RTX or whatever. Or there was already a Titan RTX, but anyway, do that. And also, 3080 Ti should have been $1,000 product. If it had been $1,000 product, people would have been like, "Hey, I can see that." It's got half the memory, so the machine learning people are not as excited about it because these things take up a lot of space, and having local memory of that amount is huge. We had a guy who worked with an 8 gig card, and he had to break up his workload so much that it just, it was almost not worth it to run it on a GPU. Almost. It was still faster, but it was a lot more intensive. And when you suddenly get up to 48 gigs of addressable by using NVLink, it opened up new worlds to everyone. And I can understand having a $1,500 card at that because it really is a professional usage type card. And I do not begrudge them that. And plus, the actual construction itself of the Founders Edition, it was a bigger card, and it had better cooling. And, it was kind of just a kick-ass thing. And I realized, some people got it for gaming. And I do not begrudge them. But the price for this is really just a slap at the face of consumers. I know I'm not making any friends at NVIDIA, and I apologize for this, Sebastian, Brett. But
you don't have to apologize.
All right, fine. Anyway,
it's
it's garbage. We live in a place where nobody can get anything, and it's just like, here's another thing. Oh, by the way, it's $1,200, and good luck in getting it. Anyway.
It would have been more than how much, Josh? How much is a 6900 XT? And don't tell me
$999, a couple $100.
Supposed to be was $999.
Oh yeah, it's $2,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Stupid.
So
It's
that's
stupid.
that's the price of a 6900 XT. What is the price of a 3090? It's like $2,500.
Yeah.
It is.
So to announce this at $11.99, it doesn't mean
Okay,
anything.
eventually, things will get back to normal, whether it be in
it
fall
won't go
or
below
winter.
that. It will not go below
It's
that.
still, now that we have things available, we're still have jacked up the price of a 3080 up to 850. Because let me tell you, I was really ecstatic about the 3080 when it came out because I thought that was a price correction across the board. Here you had 50 to 50% performance increase over a 2080 Ti. The 2080 Ti was an $1,100 product, and they put that down to $699. I thought they did a great thing for their customers, for their industry. They're not losing money off of it. And then, it just has turned around because, even MSRP of the cheapest things are nowhere near $699. You're going to be lucky to find it online for $899. And that's going to be, a fairly basic $950 for, for the win from EVGA. It just, I'm just angry. It hasn't been a great day. And so, of course, if it had been a better day, I might have a little bit more rosy view of it. But it's not. That sucks.
I think you deserve to have this attitude on it. I don't think it's not.
I think that it's customers will remember. You're gonna have to do something spectacular.
Well,
to
Josh,
to
I
get
think
back.
you're putting
And
faith
you know
in
what?
something that.
So I think it's.
I don't know.
Is it fair to say that they misjudged this move? Because if they were only looking at the high end, like if I only look at it that way and say it's 22% cheaper than a 3090 and it has 5% lower performance, what's the problem here? But then customers are looking at this, obviously. This the sentiment across the world, apparently, since this morning has been, this is shit. This price is way too high. It's an FU to customers. And I'm like, okay, I guess I wasn't looking from the bottom up. I was looking from the top down. But the $1,500 3090 was this elitist, statement. It's like an exotic car. You don't need it. It's not
If you were doing machine learning, if you were doing professional
totally
stuff,
application
24 gigs of memory absolutely made sense.
Sure.
But for gamers, to suddenly say that, AMD put out, a 16 gig card, and we realized that 24 gigs is a little bit much, doesn't actually add anything. So what we're going to do is put out a professional gaming card at what was it? Just under 10, 15% less than the 3090? 20% less than the 3090?
It's 22%.
22.
Lower.
22% less than the 3090. And we're going to bump it up to 12. We're going to add 2 gigs of memory. We're going to make every other spec just about the same as the 3090. The RT cores, the tensor units, everything is within a hand's throw. If it's not the same, it's within 2 to 256. And we're going to charge
they're
this immense amount of money for it. In the middle of a
releasing this 8 months. Releasing this 8 months after the initial, 3080, 3090 launch, right? Yeah. And so they've improved on yields, they've improved on bins, and the bill of materials that they add, the addition to the bill of materials is not going to be much. GDDR6X is still more expensive, but it's not $200 more expensive. It's not $100 more expensive. It's like what, $55 a chip, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know. Probably less than that. And then you're going to have extra electrical components around there to supply the extra memory lanes, and but otherwise it's identical. Even with the cooling, and you're bumping up the cooling by 30 watts.
All right, let's put some graphs up on the screen so people can look at something other than our faces while we continue to debate this
how about
issue.
Oh, thank God, because
If you look at the numbers, here's a synthetic, here's a times per extreme. It's 4K.
By the way,
Yes.
I just want to also want to applaud you including the 1080 Ti.
Oh, thanks.
Someone pointed out that they had appreciated that, and I just wanted to call attention to it. So thanks for doing that.
Well, it was the flagship not too long ago, and a lot of people still have it. So I
think
a lot of people are
still
still running it.
Yeah, a 1080 Ti and a 5700 XT should be on every chart because people are still using these cards. Anyway,
That's still
in fact, if you buy a brand new Alienware gaming system right now, you can actually get it with 5700 XT. Yeah. So anyway, the 3090 that we don't have a Founders Edition. We have an overclocked MSI Supreme card, which is faster than stock by a couple percentage points. So bear that in mind. But anyway, if you look at Times by Extreme, just the graphics score, you go from 8827 with a 3080 to 9887. It's more than 1,000 points higher with the 3080 Ti, and the 3090 gets 10,455. So we're talking 1,060 points above, and then it's 568 points below. So it sits in the middle. It's not halfway. I've seen remarks saying that it's only halfway between the two cards, and it's this much more money. It's not halfway. It's like 3/4 of the way to a 3090. It's not halfway. But anyway, Metro Exodus 4K high DirectX 12. You go from 75 frames a second with the 3080 to 84 with the Ti, which is just below the 88 from the 3090. So we're talking about, 4.2 frames per second slower than a 3090 and 11% faster than a 3080. Shadow of the Tomb Raider 4K 12 DX12 high. You have 3090 at 116 frames per second. You have the 3080 Ti at 107. You have the 3080 at 100. So this one actually does sit in the middle. And I think I have kind of an outlier result here because I actually saw, I think it was PC Gamer had the 3080 Ti higher. Maybe not this.
A lot of them did, yeah.
Yeah, and some certain games, you'd think, well, sometimes the lower end card will be faster, but this one also has slower clocks. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this, but.
Did you have bar enabled?
No, that's the other thing. I haven't done any rebar testing. This is all completely
because I think that a lot of review sites are actually enabling that. Because I've noticed a lot of them are using AMD platforms. They're not mentioning it, which would be nice. If I'm linking to you, could you tell me whether or not bar is enabled? So when
and the
people
problem
ask
is,
me,
I would have had to have a lot more time over the holiday to do additional testing if I were to do that, because the legacy tests that I have in here, like,
obviously don't have
series,
bar and
don't have
can't.
bar, so I have to retest anything that's compatible with it.
Yeah. How's that bar working on 1080 Ti?
Yeah. If you look at RTX tests, here's Wolfenstein Young.
So what?
Wolfenstein Youngblood, RTX on. The gap is pretty small. 137.5 frames per second with the Ti versus 144.3 with the 3090. It's a decent gain. It's about 10% faster. Again, it's almost exactly 10% faster than a non-Ti. Here's BMI, Bright Memory Infinite benchmark. It's a standalone benchmark. It's very tough. I have to lower this down to 1440 to get good frame rates at the very high preset. And it's about 4 frames per second slower than a 3090 and 6 frames per second faster than a 3080. So it's a little bit better than halfway. Anyway, it hit
negligible.
1935 megahertz consistently, peak. It drew 354.1 total watts. That's total board power. So it's right there at its TGP. It's going to pull the whole thing. And the cooler is smaller. I mean, this is basically a 3090 with a 3080 cooler. So even in these short runs, the temperatures taken from this 10x iteration Metro Exodus benchmark thing that I run to get the frequencies, it hit 77.5 degrees and 84.9 hotspot in a room in like the mid to high 70s. I don't have any AC on right now. So it was 25.4 in the room. And the core was 77.5.
That was the thing.
It's too bad you don't have a 3090 Founders, because it would be really cool to kind of superimpose those two on top of each other.
These are higher temperatures than I saw with a 3080 for sure.
A lot of the reviews that I saw where they were seeing the Ti hit the 3090, they were cooling the hell out of it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They were making sure that the thermal throttling wasn't a thing. And, we're coming into summer. It's going to be
it's spring here in Laramie.
It just snowed.
It didn't snow today.
The other day, right? Did like 2 days ago or something?
2 weeks ago.
Whatever.
Yeah, we went from nice and rainy
did
to
sleet on Sunday.
That counts.
Oh, sleet.
Yeah.
I miss sleet.
My conclusion, by the way, is all things being equal, if everything is available at MSRP, buy a 3060 Ti. That's still the best card in the lineup.
If you can find one.
Yeah, $399.
Right. At $399, that's
insane.
such a great card if it existed at $399.
remember when we thought it was kind of weird that they released it? Who is this for? It's like, oh, it's for people who can just afford to upgrade a card.
Yeah, it's the perfect card at the right price for people who coming on. It's
don't have
significantly faster than say a 5700 XT, and it's a small, quiet card. It'd be a great drop-in upgrade for a lot of people. It doesn't exist at that price. It's like 3 or 4 times as much because it turns out that the original 3060 Ti is the #1 card. The last time I looked, the #1 card for mining, like in everybody's charts.
Oh.
The rankings, like price, performance, hash rate, total power. So you just can't buy them. So if Bitcoin continues to crash further and further down, like it has been in recent weeks, then maybe you can actually buy one again. I don't think a lot of
I don't know. I saw I saw 3070 for sale today. We got the little thing from Fix It, and it was directly from the ASUS store, and I think it was $699. So even ASUS from their direct store is adding $200 to the MSRP. And it's one of their tough things. So I mean, you're going to get some higher number, some higher pricing due to it just kind of being more special than a stock basic one, but not $200. It's just we live in stupid times. So stop buying freaking GPUs.
Yeah. Don't encourage them.
And I'm not even hungry, so I can't claim I'm hangry.
No, you're just angry.
Done.
Hey,
Done.
Brett, I think we've gone on this subject long enough. It might be time to hear from our first sponsor this week.
Imagine no crowds and no waiting. Clear is the touchless way to keep you moving through airports, stadiums, and other venues. Using Clear can help you move through security with speed and confidence. Over 5.5 million people are using Clear for faster entry today, and you can too. Enrollment is quick and easy. Head over to clearme.com/PCPer and then use our offer code PCPer. Get your first 2 months free. They even have friendly ambassadors to help you finish the process so you can start using Clear right away. Get back out there and start traveling again. Use Clear to help you get back to what you love faster. Use our link at clearme.com/PCPer. That's CLEARME.com/PCPer and use our code PCPer for your first 2 months free.
All right, we are back, and AMD was at COMPUTEX as well, and they had a lot to say. Their main event, going through the press release here, featured new RX 6000 mobile graphics cards, the Advantage program for laptops, AMD Advantage laptops, and more information about FSR, Fidelity FX Super Resolution. So the flagship of the mobile lineup is going to be the 6800M. This is a 40 CU product with 12 gigs of GDDR6, 96 megabytes of Infinity Cache, so not quite the full 128.
So this is essentially a 6700 detuned.
That's probably accurate, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but it's not detuned all that much. Instead of 2.4 gigahertz up to 2.5, it's 2.3. So that's a nicely tuned little chip. Maybe if I could go back to one thing. If you want to buy a GPU, get it in a laptop or in a pre-build. Then you'll actually get kind of close to MSRP.
Yes.
Oh, you're right about that.
And
Sadly,
at least
Alienware just put out some new ones.
Yeah.
Speaking of laptops,
I know.
AMD
awesome
laptops, the AMD Advantage Design Framework, Josh, and look at this beautiful ROG. So the Advantage Framework is just AMD working with partners, leveraging their RX 6000M series mobile graphics, Radeon software, and 5000 series mobile processors. This kind of sounds like Centrino, but if you have an all AMD gaming system, it's not Centrino, it's Advantage. There might be some other prerequisites. I don't know if there's a what does it say?
There is.
Have to have high refresh. Does it have to have high brightness?
One of the cool ones that I happened to stumble across for this was that they have a temperature limit for the WASD keys. as to how hot the maneuvering keys can possibly
Oh,
get.
right. I saw that. Like 40 degrees C max.
Yes.
Like the
I
cooling
think
solution
that's
has to be good
it's
enough.
like, oh, you guys are like trying.
So that's good. And then I'm
Yes.
scrolling here, and we also have
I'm not
Fidelity
crapping
FX
on it.
Super
It's-
resolution, which in this graphic, look at the performance increase. What I think is interesting is, as we go from 49 FPS native all the way up to 150 FPS in the performance mode, which is impossible to tell in this still because it's kind of this murky area of the water. But since this is compatible not only with AMD, but with NVIDIA GPUs as well, and they were
only in
showcasing
Godfall.
the performance, improvement with a GTX 1060 during the presentation. This is
Well,
just
the gotcha to this is that it's really only in Godfall, and that their expectation is that and let me drop the other shoe. I'm going to take it from a great height and let it fall gracefully wherever it may. Is that their expectation?
But wait, before you get too harsh, remember AMD is the official graphics partner of Apple for their Intel-powered machines. So please be gentle.
Noted. Okay, so just to drop that shoe, they expect NVIDIA to encompass their framework for all the other games that it can possibly be supported on, or whatever has to be done to get it supported.
And that's not a bad
GPU.
idea, because they essentially had to hack the NVIDIA drivers to get FSR to work.
I agree with you.
Their
Yes.
business is not making drivers for NVIDIA. They have a hard enough time.
I mean,
doing them alone.
on their own, they have enough problems on their own.
Yeah.
But it is sort of funny to think about, and a lot of people sort of got this wrong because they were out there like, oh, and they're going to what a kudo, they're really going to own them on this. That's supported on all NVIDIA cards. No, that is not exactly.
They're trying
true.
to put pressure on NVIDIA to support it, which of course will never happen.
Yeah, that's what
Maybe.
It's one of those things that
what has
dies with
happened with
Computex.
FreeSync?
Well, yes,
Kind of, yeah, because they did the
Yes.
compatibility.
Vulcan.
Here's the thing: is okay. We'll hear a lot more about FSR as we actually get hands on with it, but it's
but
part
do
of
not
DirectX
confuse it.
12.
Do not confuse it with DLSS, because they're
You're right about
two
this.
totally different compute
very.
regimes. And DLSS 2.0 is PFM, pure freaking magic,
Yep.
as far as I'm concerned. And AMD is nowhere near that. I mean, you're going to get some super, resolution type stuff, but it's not going to be the same at all. But it's still going to give an improvement of, double the performance for, 90 to 95% of the quality as compared to DLSS, which does some strange freaking things to potentially even increase visual quality. And so I'm not trying to be an NVIDIA shill here, but
No, you're right.
We've got to keep these things in a little bit of perspective. It's great that AMD is doing this. It's great that they're opening up. I know that Kyle from HardOCP asked Raja if they'll be embracing it, and he kind of gave a somewhat positive answer. It was still political, and it didn't confirm anything, but it's like, we're going to try to give our consumers the best experience they can, and if that involves using FSR, then we're opening to these open environments.
There's a big difference between raster interpolation and the deep learning part of DLSS, which is really key to understand. The DLSS can do things that you cannot do in the raster realm. It actually can invent things based upon its I want to say precognition nature of its neural network to understand details that aren't even there in the pixel space. And that's what I mean when I say raster.
Wait, so this is like the soap opera mode of TVs? Is that what you're saying? Is it creates
I don't
things
know.
that aren't there?
No.
That's
Blurry
true.
epic frames.
But it's not quite as
DLSS
washed out.
DLSS can understand detail needs to be in a certain area that isn't necessarily there from the raster
Enough about DLSS.
perspective.
We're not talking about DLSS.
Yeah.
We're
Whatever.
talking about AMD at
FSR.
COMPUTEX. And guess what else they have?
Because we got more.
Guess what else they
There's
have?
more.
They're bringing
Oh,
the 5,000
just wait,
series
there's more.
APUs to the retail channel. This is not surprising. 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 This But I mean, they didn't bring the 4000 series to the retail channel, so I guess it's nice that the 5000 will be. Because as of today, the only one you can buy, the highest end one you can buy, is the 3400G.
And that was
which is annoying.
a special import from China, right?
No,
Wasn't
that's
it?
the 4000 series stuff. But
No,
you could
that's
also
regular.
you could also get one of the Ian, of course, got a 5000 series. Did some testing on it by buying it from a supplier over there. But the pricing is interesting.
It's pretty high for an APU.
Right. This is kind of the. I mean, you can. I'm sure everybody will excuse this who's still dumping on
People
NVIDIA.
are starved for GPUs right now.
$359
An APU?
for the 5700G. Remember, previous high-end
2 years
APUs
ago
were like $150,
Yep.
and now
2 years this would not have flown.
$259.
But in this market-
dollars.
In this
For the
market,
5600G.
it kind of like, it's not.
You're getting essentially a
suck.
37. No, you're getting a. No, is it Zen 3? I can't remember.
Well, would you rather
still
a
Zen
slap
2
on the ass
plus?
or a poke in the eye, Josh?
It's Zen 3 because it compares favorably with the 5600 and the 5800. They're very, very close.
Yeah. So
Performance-wise,
it's very
straight
close
CPU.
to a 5800. And so when you're looking at pure CPU performance and you get reasonable integrated graphics thrown in.
Guess what? It's the same Vega stuff all over again.
I know, but it's still a
but they've
slap on the
improved
ass compared to a
Vega.
poke in the eye.
But it's processed.
And it's only
processed
65 watts.
Well, it's reduced, so it's a little bit more efficient. It has 8 instead of 10 or something, or 10 instead of 12.
Okay, but you could
units.
buy the 2200G or the 3200 if that's was still the number for like $100.
Oh, if you can find them.
$100 and base your system
Well-
around it and wait for a GPU. And now this is like, $259 is the entry level.
But
APU
they're not
now.
doing a 3 series because of the silicon shortage. There's no room in the fab.
Nope, they just jumped through.
Why would you not sell the higher margin item? If you can only sell one, sell the higher margin item, right? I mean, this is a
Well,
publicly
all they
traded
did-
company. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
But the prices are up. So they got their margin by raising
And you
the
might
Yeah, but the
just be assuming on the
3400 is
margins.
a 12 nanometer product from Global Foundries.
Yeah.
So there's
it is.
no problem with wafer space there. 3400
Interesting.
G is 12 nanometer Global Foundries.
Production-wise, that's probably cheaper to make.
You got a point there.
So yeah, no, they're
the
looking at
4000
this from
was the
fr-
Zen 2.
no, the bean counters are looking at that and saying, yeah, no, it actually makes sense to do this because we can charge what we want. And I'm not condoning this. I'm just saying this is what it is. So why not skip it? Why don't you just go straight for this? It's actually probably cheaper for us to make. Intel's G or Z is in extremely limited supply, just like we are. So why the hell not go for it?
Why the hell not?
Okay,
And
did
it's
you
only
notice?
PCI Express 3.0.
Yeah, maybe it's 3.0. Did you notice they're also going to be bringing this to phones?
yes, and I put that link in here.
The
Exynos.
N-Gage is coming back.
Let's quickly, before we get that far, there was something else they demonstrated at COMPUTEX. Josh, I know you're all about this. Stacked.
Ooh, 3D.
Stacked.
Oh, sexy.
Decals.
Yes.
Think of
Like
all the
this
cache
was-
you can put in the same footprint.
By far the most impressive thing that we have seen yet at COMPUTEX. And there's multiple reasons. One, getting it to work and having a stacking technology of this nature at this speed that is going to be available. Well, they're going to start producing at the end of this year. It's impressive. Secondly, AMD planned for this years ago. So they didn't make any changes to the 5000 series chiplets to be able to support it. It already had everything designed in to be able to work as a 3D stacked product. This has been in the books for years, and this is so forward looking for AMD. It's not even funny because sure, Intel had that Point Vecchio thing, which is essentially just, a bunch of chips all together, which AMD has kind of previously done with, Vega and whatever the one was before it. with the interposer and HBM. I mean, they've been doing that for years. And even though Intel's was, more complex with a lot more chips and some other, speed areas within, AMD still had done it. So AMD is going to have one of the first desktop level. We haven't heard anything about Epic yet. And everything kind of points to this being the desktop refresh, where this is going to be the Zen 3 Plus, except there were no changes to Zen 3. They're just adding extra processing to, one, smooth down and make the silicon tinier, thinner, so they can put this, shaved portion of 64 megs of cache, L3 SRAM cache on there, and then two other little thermal components that will make it all the same height as the regular chiplet and the I/O, so you don't have to change anything about your cooling infrastructure or the heat spreader, because they're all the same size. And they've made those other two parts thermally conducive. They say it doesn't radically affect power consumption. It does not increase heat performance, because SRAM typically does not produce nearly as much heat as the actual cores themselves doing the work. And so that thermal material that's sitting over the cores is whisking the heat away just as well as the native silicon that would usually be there. So you're not even really getting an increase in heat. And so, yeah, this is me coming around from my NVIDIA rant, in that AMD had some real positive things. And I guess that we'll expect to see this in Q1 of 2022. And then Zen 4, I originally thought would be a May-June price before this was announced. No, it looks like that will be the end of 2022. So they're going to have this caching technology, which in games, which love cache, you're looking at a 15% CPU boost. There will be other applications out there which will heavily utilize L3 cache, and you're just going to get a nice boost. Regular stuff, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5% at max, but in those really rough scenarios where it will be doing lots of cache accesses and it will be able to store stinking 96 megs of memory on a chiplet. And when you look at, like the 5900 and 5950, which are two chiplets, you've got an extra 128 megs of L3 cache. I mean, when did you upgrade your computer to 128 megs back in 1998? It's just ludicrous.
Yeah, that was amount of.
I had
it was not cache.
Sun servers the size of a refrigerator that actually had that in it. That would have been about it. Is there any technical comparison you can make between Intel's Foveros to their 3D chip stacking technique?
I couldn't tell you, just because I'm not as familiar with. I mean, those are all essentially test chips so far. I mean, they have nothing that's in production.
It's so far away. It's so far away from production. Here we have AMD going like, we're rolling it out. It's happening.
They're like, we're working with TSMC. They have a chip stacking technology, and we're going to start working on that in November, December.
I think that's pretty much. That's the key thing to say is like, oh my gosh, they're so far ahead. Oh my gosh.
Intel's chiplets are coming soon, but I don't think they're going to be stacked.
Coming soon. Isn't that Intel's new phrase?
You at,
coming soon.
It will be measured in the nanometers. We're not quite sure which one we're going to go with, but
what about AMD GPUs in your mobile device? Could this be the second coming of the N gauge? Is this Tony Hawk?
But with ray tracing
playing on a?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. It was the best one I could find.
What a delightful handheld system this was.
Did you know it was also a phone?
Yeah, of course it was. Was it 3G? I don't remember if it was 3G.
Oh no, this might be GSM.
Okay.
It was a way back. But yeah, so Samsung, fabricator of our favorite AMD chips, their Exynos is bailing on Qualcomm. They're going for RDNA 2.
Oh, man.
This is interesting because I'm looking at my cell phone. And actually, I'm yelling at it because it was an email I didn't really want. And now the news blast is saying that variable refresh rates and ray tracing might soon be coming to my cell phone because the mobile RX 6000 series is going to actually be adopted by Samsung. Now, this is brilliant for AMD. This is more cash for AMD to come in, which is always great. I'm just sort of thinking, like, I don't play games on my phone. I don't know many people that do.
But if you did,
they might be really excited about this. Me, I'm just more excited about AMD making a little bit more money so that the amount of money that they make in a quarter isn't what Intel finds on their couch, just randomly scattered around. So, yeah, I am kind of excited about it in the way that, you know, this is a brilliant thing for AMD to actually be moving into yet another market. But on the other hand, usage scenario is not coming to me.
Think about this. Okay,
Maybe
Steam recently has been talking about the Steam Pal. So they're going to have some Nintendo Switch kind of device, like a handheld PC. Something like this is interesting because then it gives you a low power SoC, high-powered graphics, variable refresh, which would be very important on a small device trying to play a AAA game title on it.
Yeah.
So let's pause right here to hear from podcast sponsor number 2.
are you carrying a credit card balance month after month? Is your statement filled with computer parts and technology purchases like mine is? Sometimes high interest rates can make it difficult to pay down that debt, but Upstart can help. Join the thousands of people that have made that final credit card payment. To find out how Upstart and their AI lending platform can lower your monthly payments today, visit upstart.com/PCPer. They've got a fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, and it's all done online. You could be paying off credit cards, doing a high-interest consolidation, or just refunding personal expenses. Over 500,000 people have already used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Unlike other lenders, Upstart looks at more than just your credit score. They carefully consider your income and employment history, which allows them to offer smarter rates with trusted partners. With a 5-minute online check, you can see where you'd be at for loans between $1,000 to $50,000. Actual available loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information you provided in your loan application. Hey, affordable credit matters. It's a fact of life, unfortunately. You should feel empowered to take control of your debt and financial future. That's upstart.com/PCPer. Don't forget to use our URL so they know that we sent you over. Go to upstart.com/PCPer and get started today.
We return to talk about the thinnest of Mini-ITX form factors. You may not know this, but there's Mini-ITX, and then there's
Is it Wafa?
thin.
Wafa thin?
It's Wafa. Wafa. It's just like a
ASRock.
thin mint.
No
It couldn't be
stranger
thinner
to
than
the
a thin mint.
unusual form factor and combination of things. They've produced an AM4 motherboard in thin Mini-ITX. Here's a look at the backplate.
I love how it accents the number of sockets it has.
Look at that power connector.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Kind of a
Oh.
standard laptop power connector. I have
is that,
the
Interesting.
generic thin
Is that a
Mini-ITX.
serial-
Yeah,
that a serial
it is.
port or
Yes.
V-
Yeah, Brett, I'm glad you
VGA?
brought that up because not only
Serial
does this
port.
tout the fact that it has USB Type-C, and they call it out right here in the graphic. It has USB Type-C next to a serial connection.
There's
Okay,
something
I'm more
wrong with this.
interested.
Old versus new.
There's no PS2
So-
port, but apart from that, I'm amazed.
Yeah. And you know what? They have not included the useless audio ports. See those two? The mic and
In,
speaker.
out.
Because
Mic and
what are
speaker.
the other ones for? What are the other ones for?
I don't
anyway?
know. Line in, but hey, it's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
It's some sort of virtual thing, Brett. Don't worry about it.
The
Middle
only
speaker.
concern here, really, besides the non-existent power delivery, will be the fact that this is based on a very low-end chipset. I don't think it's the A320 again. It might be. I used an ECS board with one of those, and it's rather limited. But it's It supports up to 4,000 series APUs. I'm guessing maybe it would support the 5,000s too. I just like thin Mini-ITX. Now you have an AM4 option from ASRock on the market. So,
Ericon from Discord accurately points out that as a protocol, they're all serial. He's right.
okay, what is it? RS-232? It's an RS-232 port.
We should have said RS-232.
Yes, to
Correct.
be absolutely
9-pin RS-232.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct. Okay, what is this story that made its way onto the list? Jeremy, do you know something about
Because at the end of all time, it's just to create the year of the desktop. Take
the
it.
year of the desktop computer, huh?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm so going to drink out of that hose this summer.
out of the fire hose.
Is this it looks like just a standard garden.
No, it's a
kinking
kink.
an awful lot.
I was looking for, a visual pun about the problems we're having with delivering things through the supply chain.
Oh.
Or were you just doing your routine search for kinky hose and then this came up?
I guarantee you that it's
Did you misspell? Did you misspell hose?
It was an autocorrect.
Oh no, I always follow it that way.
Okay.
I really like UHF, so when I want kinky hose, I get kinky hose. Yeah, so
I did not foresee this. I did not.
You had to know.
All right, I totally knew.
the hose
Desktop
knows.
Renaissance.
Yes.
Okay. I guess it makes sense if laptops are really in short supply, but we need
There you go.
Integrated.
You win the
graphics.
$1,000 prize.
I looked at the article.
There are no notebooks, so companies are thinking about going back to desktops. And the funny thing about a desktop is you don't necessarily have to buy a discrete GPU, and you sure as hell don't have to buy a panel. That 16-inch from 2016 that we still have hanging around is good enough.
Yeah,
it just plugs in. Away you go.
Just put VGA out on it. A lot of mini PCs have VGA out. That's going to be the future.
A lot of things have VGA out, and that's still good.
It's the future.
Because otherwise, you've got an HDMI out on there, and then a DVI or a DisplayPort and DVI on the monitor from the same supplier. Because
some analog video on that.
Yeah. No, we're looking at a jump of about 18 to 20%, or about 357 million units of desktop computers, more than we saw about this time last year. It's good news. It's bad news. The fact that, the desktop computer is dead. Has been for 10, 12 years now. I think I've been writing those headlines that the desktop computer is dead. All hail the new desktop computer that's still coming back. And you've also looking at a lot of us, that the enthusiasts, that literally the only way you can get your hands on a new GPU right now is to buy a really expensive package. And by that I mean a case, a CPU, a motherboard, and everything else, which is wrapped nicely around the GPU that you actually wanted. Hopefully you gave it away to a friend or something. It's interesting because there is a huge shortage, and companies love that because the demand goes up, so does price. This will be, and I'm trying to find where it is about Gartner. It's about 8 years, I think, since we've seen a swing on desktops up of this big. It's relatively interesting, but Apple, yeah, Brett, I'm looking at you.
Wait, is this the year of the iMac? Is that what you're saying? It's available. in all those
they're reselling the
delicious
freaking
colors.
trash can. They're
sorry,
reselling the trash can.
Really? That's available again?
Sorry.
Yes, a 2.7
What do you mean?
gigahertz 12-core Intel Xeon E5 processor, 64 gigs of DDR3 RAM, 1 terabyte
Gotta look at
PCI
this.
storage, 2 AMD Fire Pro D700 GPUs, and 6 gigabytes GDR5 RAM for about £6,000.
Where is this available?
It's the Fire Pros that really dragged that down after a period of time.
Because that was Apple's fault. They designed a specific SKU for the Fire Pros that went in there. You couldn't just drop any old Fire Pro in there.
Correct. Because they had a thermal situation going on, as well as
because it was stuck in a trash can.
Okay, there was that. Yeah, that was probably it.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as you know,
these apparently have spiked in price. So the desktop sales are getting weird at the same time as they're getting good. And I hate to say it, but my advice is if you're looking for a brand new graphics card, you're going to have to buy it in a system. But don't spend $5,000 on an old trash can Mac Pro.
It's finally here. The desktop has made its triumphant return to dominance based only on the scarcity of laptops, which is what everybody actually wants to buy.
Yeah,
It's
four guys
a tiny
running off of
percentage of
desktops.
enthusiasts like us who want a desktop.
Yeah.
Time for picks of the week. And Josh,
No,
you
we're
are first.
We're
on the
smoking
list.
through this. Speaking about hot air, sometimes you need air in your tires. So I got one of this for my son who's going away from college. It's a reasonable. It was less than $59 when I bought it. It was like 48
off
when it was
coupon.
on sale.
Look at this.
30% off.
Oh,
Click it.
And I just-
No,
I just-
don't do
oh
that.
well, yeah. Edit point.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Like anybody
Hey,
can figure that
I'm
out
not in
anyway.
charge of clicking things.
That's fine.
But anyway, if you're Prime member, it's like $47 and dual copper piston, supposedly better longevity. It fill up a tire on your car in about 100 seconds, which if you've had one of those old pancake pumps, it takes 5 to 6 minutes per tire to get it up. And then you're starting to heat that puppy up where it's unusable. And so this is a nice design. The only thing I don't like is I'd rather have an analog gauge than a digital one. Digital ones kind of tend to be more, they're not as robust as the tried and true, pressure old sensor
Metal
needle.
pen?
Yeah,
I don't like the pen.
Yeah, it just
The pen tells you exactly what's going on, Sebastian.
After you lose like 5 pounds of pressure getting a good connection to the pen.
Okay, that's
About
fair.
the third time. So you don't got to
Anyway.
average it. It's like the first reading, it could have been an outlier. Second reading, third reading.
Well, you need one of these things that Josh is talking about.
No, I'm not
so you
talking
can put
about
your
a
tire
regular
back on.
pressure gauge. A radial dial pressure gauge on a lot of the older and still some, rather than the digital gauge, so you can tell. But anyway,
Yeah.
regardless, it seems well built. It's got the light. It's got all the accessories. It'll pump up to 150 psi. So it's got everything under $50 on sale. And you know what? Everybody should have something like this in their car. It's just too stinking handy.
Especially if your girlfriend deflates.
Yeah. There you go.
Did you just say that? You just said that.
I had to. I am sorry, I had to.
Okay.
But I tell you, you got to be careful of the 150 psi models.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Too much
They'll
pressure.
beat the living.
Surprise!
Jeremy, did you really
Don't
pick
want to go
this?
any further.
Had to.
I see that Jeremy is aspiring to a higher.
Oh yeah,
level
I
of
found it.
podcasting here.
I found it.
Okay, what is
I
it?
found a Bitcoin mining PSU. It's on sale too.
Okay, how is it supposed to be 2,000 watts?
I don't know. It's bullshit.
Okay,
Is it a dual?
if it's
No.
not less power,
Wait,
they probably
wait.
could do 2,000 watts.
Out of a 20 amp outlet, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, if it's European voltages,
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
maybe.
and
240.
European and Asian are what,
Okay.
240?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
wanna
it
say
ships from
240,
Canada,
yeah.
240
so
volts?
it's not. Now we do dual 240 120, but you've got to
260.
put a proper. Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see that on the
Yeah.
picture that he scrolled past? It said two. I've never seen that.
260.
before.
Okay, hold on.
260
I like it
volts.
in the description at Newegg. How to power on this device. At first, you must use the 20 plus 4 pin connector. Then connect this power supply with power cable. Now you can power on this device.
First, make a phone call to your power company. Say, hey, I'm powering up the aspiring 260 volt.
Base on above.
You don't want to be like those people in London that got busted because people thought they were running a pot growing shop, and no, it was just a Bitcoining mine. But if you keep going
But they're
down,
still stealing electricity.
Well, no, they just it was.
No,
a
they were
huge
stealing electricity from neighbors.
bill. All right, they probably were.
Okay, this is made of
why
a
would-
high-quality metal shell, not easily broken, very durable.
Not easy broken.
So
Not easily
Yes.
broken.
So
Not
wait,
easy
wait a minute, hold on.
broken.
Max power output
possible.
1,800 watts.
Liars!
Yep.
This is not 2,000 watts.
When is 1800 2000? It's not!
Jeremy, this is shameful.
Is this not beautiful?
It is, and it's actually.
And I don't know how, but if I get it on overview, I've got this beautiful picture of a 2,000 mining power supply use active PSC with just like all these cards connected to it. And I know for a fact, because I looked into it, it doesn't actually have that many power supplies or power cords for a what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16,
Well, I mean,
19.
splitters.
Why wouldn't it be a
You
19?
just split them. You just split them again, right?
And then split them again and split them again. So yes, we now have Bitcoin mining PSUs. I think everyone should know about this.
Well, there's mining motherboards. It makes sense there'd be mining specific PSUs.
Yeah, well, that was just because it had 12 PCIe E's on it.
Yeah.
This is just someone trying to rip someone off, and I find it absolutely hilarious.
It's just $254. Buy one today.
Oh, and don't make sure the temperature doesn't exceed 50 degrees Celsius. It will damage itself.
High quality components.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Brett, your pick.
All right. Well, Kent brought this up a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago or so. And he was doing some thermal testing with, I think it was the Be Quiet cooler, that $25 cooler that turned out to be actually a pretty good deal. These are thermal interface sheets, IC graphite thermal pads that are actually totally for real. These things, I got a couple of them. They looks like, they're working really well, very robust, as long as you're not, tearing them or anything. Just be careful. And they're reusable. So if you're into kind of changing things around and doing some testing, this is a really nice thermal interface material to do that. And the price is very reasonable. It's like 15, 16 bucks for a couple of them. You can spend, $8 for roughly, one of them, and you can continuously reuse it. So if you're going to try and figure out like, hey, which thermal solution am I going to use that's going to be best on, whatever device you're applying it to, this is a great way to figure that out.
But what if I have to ask the company how thick the pad should be?
Exactly.
As long as it's not ASUS, then you're fine.
Brett, are you
willing
Asus to disclose the thickness of these pads? Or is that
I'm
proprietary?
going to go get a set of digital calipers, and I swear I will announce the thickness of the IC Diamond pad on next week's podcast. Tune in.
Does IC Diamond disclose
That's
the
a very
thickness?
personal disclosure,
care.
and I appreciate it.
I will spill the info on this. We're going to scoop this and give everybody the thickness of the IC Diamond pads. I don't care.
Okay.
You don't care.
I don't care. I'm like Honey Bear.
You don't care.
Badger. Honey Badger.
Honey Badger. Honey Badger.
That's what I said. That's what I said the second time.
My pick.
Sebastian, do you have a pick?
I do. It's something that I've been using since I started doing the show. Well, since I started producing it.
Don't give me an opening like that.
Now, this is something that actually Ken told me about years ago. He's like, throw it on the levelator.
Okay, you're making it worse.
And it's a free utility.
Mineral oil.
It used to be from the Conversations Network. They stopped supporting it in 2012. You can still download it. It works just fine on Windows 10. And there's a Mac version. If you go to the Mac App Store, you can download it for the latest Mac OS, but it's from a different developer for some reason. It works exactly the same way. But it's called the Levelator. And this show I'll export the audio as a WAV file. I'll drag it into the levelator. It works its magic. It does multiple things. It does loudness. It does compression. It tries to find the quiet passages and make them match the loud passages. So if not everybody's the same level on the show, it will do a reasonable job. It's never perfect, but it's way better than the original output. Whatever comes out of levelator is what you hear in the finished podcast every week.
That actually sounds like us. It's never perfect, but whatever comes out is okay.
Yes. Check it out. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. And
That's what free is.
Yes. And it also doesn't cost any money. You don't have to send them any money. Okay.
So it doesn't cost anything.
Right. It's free. Does anybody else have anything this week?
I'm going to die.
Okay. Yeah, I think I am too. If we're still alive next week.
I just want a store that sells fuses again.
I want a store that sells Fusion.
All right. See you guys next week.
See you later. Good night.